he was reflecting on Surah Ad-Dukhan. And he said, you will not go beyond your station. He realized at that point that this is not really Dajjal. But Ibn Umar, when he heard the Prophet ﷺ say that, said, shall I kill him? He was ready to just take his head off. And the Prophet ﷺ said no. Because if he were Dajjal, you would not be able to kill him. And if he wasn't, there would be no good in you killing him. Because it would appear that Muhammad ﷺ was killing innocent people. Now, one of the companions, there was a particular occasion, this Ibn Sayyad, though Prophet ﷺ clarified that he really wasn't a Dajjal, the rumor had spread amongst the Muslims. And even after the time of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, some of them still thought that he was a Dajjal. And there's a narration in Sahih Muslim, narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, in which he said, we set out to perform Hajj or Umrah, and Ibn Sayyad was with us. And when we camped, and the people dispersed, everybody else left, he found himself sitting there, and it was only him and Ibn Sayyad. And he said, I became worried. And Ibn Sayyad, when he saw it was just the two of them, he picked up his luggage and he brought it next to where Abu Sa'id was sitting, because it's just the two of them. Abu Sa'id suggested him, I think it'd be better if you put your luggage under that tree over there, right? You didn't want him to get too close. Then Ibn Sayyad went and did it. And he then, there was a goat there, he got some goat's milk in a bowl. He drank some and he brought it and offered it to Abu Sa'id. Abu Sa'id said, no, it's real hot, drinking milk at this time, I don't think it'd be good. But really, he said, I didn't, because I didn't want to take anything from this man, right? And when Ibn Sayyad saw that, what was happening, really, this was the suspicion, he said to him, listen, he came down, sat next to him and said, hey, I was thinking at one point to buy a rope, tie it from a tree and hang myself because of what people say about me. Talking to him, you're from the Ansar. And you know what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said better than most other people. Isn't that true? Abu Sa'id said, yeah, it's true. And he said, that Prophet ﷺ said that a Dajjal would be a disbeliever. And I'm a Muslim. Abu Sa'id said, it's true. That's true. And he said that Dajjal would not have any children. He would be barren. And I have 2 children in Medina. Abu Sa'id said, yeah, that's true too. And he went on to say that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that a Dajjal would not be able to enter Mecca and Medina. And I was born in Medina, and we're going to Mecca. Abu Sa'id said, yeah, really, what can I say after all of that, right? And then he went on to say, I know where he is right now. Abu Sa'id looked at him and said, may you suffer loss for the rest of your days. He just put a big doubt back in his mind again. For him to know exactly where, Dajjal was. But the point is that, as I said, he was known by the majority of the companions not to have been Dajjal. And Jabir ibn Abdullah had reported that he went missing when the Syrian army attacked Medina in the 63rd year after the Hijrah. And although his body was never found, people had witnessed that he had been killed. So we know that he wasn't Dajjal. However, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did narrate to us a story which came to him from one of his companions, Tamim ad-Dari, who was a former Christian who had accepted Islam and had been with a ship in the area of the south of India, off from Sri Lanka in that region. And he had come and related to the Prophet ﷺ that his ship had been caught up in a storm, and they ended up at an island. And when he went into the island, he had come across this individual who was covered in hair. You could hardly make out what was his front from his back. And they asked him, who was he? And he said he is a jassasa, which means like the spy. And they were trying to get more information about this weird looking individual. And he said, listen, there's somebody waiting for you in this cave over there. So they went to see who this was. And he said he found there a person more powerfully built than anybody had ever seen. He was chained up. And they started to ask him questions, but he stopped them, and then he asked them questions about what was happening in Arabia and in Palestine, whether there was still water in the Sea of Galilee, and descriptions which indicated that he was aware of what was happening there. And then he asked them also about whether a prophet had come from Yathrib, which is the old name of Medina. And then after he got all this information, then he told them, he said, I am the Messiah, the Messiah. He claims initially that he is the Messiah. And of course, according to Christian belief, the Messiah, Jesus, was God. And he said, I will soon be permitted to go forth. So I will set out and travel across the earth. Within 40 nights, I will visit every town in the world except for Mecca and Medina. And that indicates to us that the Dajjal was alive from the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Because Prophet Muhammad ﷺ accepted this narration given to him by Tamim ad-Dari and related it to his companions as truth. Now, some of us may want to question, how in the world could somebody be living, from that time till now? Right? But we believe that Prophet Nuh lived for how long? 1,000 years or more. We believe that people of the past did live for extended periods of time. Could be individuals, could be groups of people. So, if we can accept that this is from the will of Allah, then we shouldn't have a problem accepting that Dajjal is still around from that period of time. Now, we'll go back to what to do in defense against Dajjal. First and foremost, we have to cling firmly to Islam, because those people who will fall into his trap will be people whose Islam is shaky. As he said, Prophet ﷺ had said that he would come to Medina, to the outskirts of Medina. And when Medina is shook by these earthquakes, the hypocrites, the disbelievers, people who have Muslim names, because obviously in Medina, the people are not going to have non-Muslim names, because non-Muslims are banned from Medina. But the Prophet ﷺ referred to them as hypocrites and disbelievers. They will come out. Their names will be Ahmed, Fatima, and all these names. They will come out and join up with a Dajjal. Meaning obviously that their faith was virtually non-existent. They were Muslims in name, but not Muslims in their hearts. So it is the first line of defense is to be, of course, sincere and to be true to one's Islam. And we should know what descriptions the Prophet ﷺ has given us about Dajjal. And we should teach it to our children. In the homes, how many of you have grown up in your homes and said that, hey, my parents told me about Dajjal? No, you grew up in the homes, you knew about Superman, you knew about, Pokemon and all these other foolishnesses, but do you know about Dajjal? No. This is a major failure. As parents, it is the responsibility to teach their children about Dajjal. Secondly, we should try to memorize the first 10 or the last 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had said in an authentic hadith found in Sahih Muslim, "Man hafidha 10 ayatin min awwali Surah Al-Kahf, usima min ad-Dajjal." Anyone who memorizes the first 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf will be protected from a Dajjal. Of course, this memorization is not parrot memorization, where a person learns to recite the words and have no idea what it says. Please don't think that this is what this means, because, one could say, well, maybe I don't even need to memorize it. I can just keep a tape recorder, right? Have a tape recorder, these first 10 verses, just carry it with me anytime Dajjal comes, I take out my tape recorder, right? No, it doesn't work like that. Right? This is not something which we do in this ritualistic kind of form, that the Quran in its recitation is like, magic. You have this magic wand of the magicians, etc., that we carry it around with us. We just gotta bring it out, turn it on, and, defeat the enemy type of thing, right? No. It is about reciting it based on belief. What the first 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf address, we should reflect on the meanings that are there, which address, issues of sincerity of belief. Talking about the people of the companions of the cave and the trials that they went through and how they were firm in their belief. This is what we should reflect on when we recite these verses. And of course, we are encouraged to recite Surah Al-Kahf every Jum'ah.